Have you ever put your time and money into an investment only to find out it was actually a money pit? That's exactly what we're going to be looking at in today's video. 19 things you thought were investments but ended up being big money pits. Now, this, of course, if you have fallen for any of these, let me know down in the comments below, because when it comes to investing and when it comes to sinking a lot of money into something that doesn't have a return, the lines can get very blurry. When you're putting your hard-earned money into something, you want to make sure that it's going to be an investment and it's going to be an asset that you're having in the future. Now, the first one we look at in this list is timeshares. Now, when it comes to timeshare, seems logically like a great way to kind of prepay for vacation, knowing your vacation spot. However, a lot of people have found out very rough and hard way that it is a very big financial burden. The initial price in the beginning can be really incentivizing, with the annual maintenance increasing over time, and also selling a timeshare. If you've ever had to do this, it is incredibly difficult if you're not in a prime location spot or if there's not someone to purchase this. Now, the second one we look at is luxury cars. Now, luxury cars, keeping up with the Joneses, lifestyle creep, a lot of luxury cars are an absolute terrible investment, in my opinion. Terrible investment in vehicles themselves, because if you're putting, let's say, 70, 80, $100,000 into a car, which I know for a lot of people, that isn't even a luxury car, depending on what you're looking at, but the depreciation is very rapid on that, and it does lose a significant portion of value as soon as it leaves the lot. Even within the first 3 to 5 years, if you're driving it on a regular basis, a lot of the depreciation and a lot of the maintenance costs and repair costs of luxury cars go through the roof, making them a very bad investment. Now, the next one we look at are collectibles. Now, for a lot of people, stamps, coins, action figures. I collect Magic the Gathering cards, Pokemon cards. Very fun way to invest. In really thinking about it though, profitability is not there for a majority of the things that we buy. A lot of the collectibles, you might pay $10 or $20 for it now. In a couple years, it might be worth $10 or $20. Even in 20 years, even thinking of the millions upon hundreds of millions of Pokemon cards that they really do produce, doesn't mean there's going to be a market for it, doesn't mean there's going to be a value for it in the future. And of course, looking at the collectible market, very easy to pay or overpay for items that might have value at the current time, only to go up or down in the future. But overall, looking at the big picture, most people will invest in things and ultimately nothing becomes of it. Number 5, we look at home improvements that do not add value. Now, for a lot of people, in putting expensive upgrades, swimming pool, high-end appliances, even looking over personalization renovations, also can add to the home resale value, but a lot of improvements people don't want. Really less appeal to some potential buyers. And of course, is the cost there? So if you put in an upgrade, let's say a bathroom for $8,000 to $10,000, doesn't mean you're going to get that money back out, especially if it's customized in some manner, that you're not going to see the total return of that. Now, this is one that I had when I was very young in age, which is a pyramid scheme. This was actually selling knives, which was kind of interesting, often disguised as multi-level marketing. We see this before, and honestly, it promises pretty good money, but it also relies on the scheme of recruiting new people and really preying on friends and family to buy your actual product. This again is something we've seen where participants end up losing money on inventory. You have to buy your stuff up front, then you have to be almost a wholesaler. Now, looking at training materials, recruitment effort, there's a lot of different things that you're getting paid on commission based on how many other people you pull into this scheme. Next one we look at is your extended warranties. Now, this electronics appliances, for most people, they will not use them. It's a good way to protect your purchase, but a majority of people never use them. And when it comes to technology, most of the time they become obsolete long before the warranty is used if they break down. And a lot of times the warranty that you're purchasing will not even cover in its entirety the item that you're going ahead and you're getting the warranty for, or you're looking to replace. And also, when it comes to exceeding the amount of the potential repair or what the cost would be, they would just rather give you the money or give you a rebate for a fair market value versus replacing it with a brand new item. Now, the next one we look at is a big one for me, a pet peeve: unnecessary gym memberships. For a lot of people that have gym memberships, if you're going, yep, great to be healthy 3 to 5 times a week, absolutely getting it. But for a majority of people, these are an absolute money pit. I have done financial counseling with a lot of people that have paid for months, even years of gym memberships that went completely unused. I've even seen clients that have different memberships at different gyms. So they'll have like an LA Fitness or a Gold's Gym with a Planet Fitness just because it was closer to their house. And a lot of places they'll join because of a sauna or a swimming pool or something of that nature, only to find out they're not using these gym memberships at all. And of course, when it comes to gym memberships, right hand in hand, bad exercise equipment. When you think of the latest exercise machines, when you start looking at fitness gadgets, promising the amazing ab cruncher that's going to give you a 6-pack or an 8-pack abs, most of them just collect dust. If you go to even local garage sales, you will find these all over. And it's kind of crazy because the majority of the time they're very overpriced. The workout is very similar or less expensive to other alternatives. And even looking at a lot of free alternatives that you can do total body crushing, really fitness programs on YouTube for a lot of the financial influencers. You can do a lot of really programs that are just body weight using and really free with no cost to you. Now, of course, when we think about one of the most honestly detrimental that I see is lottery tickets. When you think of lottery tickets, it's 1 in 22 million people, whatever it may be. When it comes to lottery tickets, it is a full potential to strike it rich. However, it is a very, very big losing investment. If lottery tickets did not make money, they would not sell them. The odds of winning are significantly, a really amount of money is very low in relationship to what people are putting in there. And if you're investing in lotto tickets, and a lot of people do on a regular basis, every week, every month, you are putting a lot of money, where if you put it into a savings account, into an investment account, into an IRA account, it would grow much larger than actually winning the lotto and actually seeing the money that is coming from there. Now, this is something that we've looked at for our next one, which I have looked at quite a bit: overly expensive college degrees. When you think of college degrees, going to school, absolutely a big, big value if you want to be in a specialized, but it also makes a big difference. What is going to be the return on investment? What are you going to make in relationship to the very expensive private schools or out-of-state universities? What are they going to offer? That is where a big part of the crippling student loan debt that we see has been carried. Now, of course, some degrees do lead to some really high-paying jobs. However, a lot of degrees and very expensive degrees do not, unfortunately, a lot of times turn into, a really big job aspect. It doesn't really look into, and people make a very average salary with a 4-year degree, which, depending on the field that you're going into, again, if you're looking at more of the specialization, it might make sense to be at a more expensive college, but for a majority of people, they are not using it at all. And when it comes to that investing side, we look at penny stocks. Now, penny stocks is another thing. When I was much younger, we got into, a lot of people like the get rich quick scheme of the penny stocks. And honestly, buying penny stocks is more like gambling than it is investing. You're putting a very low price tag and typically very risky manipulation on the market, because penny stock companies don't trade and they have most of the time little to no track record of how they really perform. It almost reminds me of the Wild West of the crypto, where a new coin comes out and really it's what it is. Most of them don't have any utility. When you think of a couple of coins that really don't have much utility at all, just kind of exist, and really we put the value on some of them. And of course, there is a big, big part with penny stocks that they see them really a fertile ground for scams, which is the same that we see with some of those cryptocurrencies. Now, the next one is, again, another pretty big pet peeve, which is expensive wedding expenses. When you think of that one magical day that most people have dreamed about, it can create a financial burden for multitude of years. I have seen people take $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 out in a loan to do a one-day wedding, not even a destination wedding, just to have the one day. Now, of course, lavish receptions, designer dresses, all of that are great to have, but they do not have any lasting value. If you're putting that amount into your wedding, your couple, as a couple, husband and wife, your partner, your spouse, whoever it is, you are starting with a multitude year of debt, which we see 5 to 7 years for most of these unsecured loans that they're doing to start your really relationship. So if you have an individual where they have student debt, you have a second individual that has student debt, you go together, you take out $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 for a wedding. Now you have a lot more debt on top of debt on top of debt. If you could really cut back on some of the costs, make it really logical and make sense, you want to make sure that you do that. When we look at protecting your insurance is the next one we look at. Insurance is important, but of course, they try to sell you everything. A lot of people are overpaying for insurance policies and getting a lot more coverage than they would ever need. And honestly, going into looking at whole life insurance, for example, I do carry whole life. I believe that when you're looking at just regular term life insurance versus whole life insurance, it's almost like renting, which I know a lot of situations it does make sense, but building and putting some money into whole life is my personal choice. And I know, again, a lot of people will do term life and then go ahead and invest the difference. But overall, it may make sense. Again, credit life insurance on products, car rental insurance. There's a lot of different places that might be overpriced or it can be redundant when it comes to insurance policies itself. Now, when we start looking into the investment realm, high fee investment products, this is the thing where mutual funds and me really disagree. So if you've watched my channel for a little bit, I love and I invest in ETFs. I only do ETFs, exchange traded funds. I stay in that realm. When you start thinking of mutual funds, they are 1.5%. Mutual funds are managed funds, and mutual funds come with a very big price tag, which of course, when you start looking at 30 or 40 years, can eat into a tremendous amount of the gains you see in the market, where index funds or ETFs in that manner have a very, very low cost ratio. And if you start looking back big picture, 90+% of financial advisors cannot beat the index over an extended amount of time. That, of course, is Warren Buffett saying that everyone should invest and really own the S&P 500. No need for anything else but going in for that S&P 500. Now, if you're the next one that we're looking at, branded prescription drugs. When you think of a brand name prescription drug, there's a lot of generic alternatives, which are literally 10 times less the price, which is kind of crazy. Generic alternatives have the same active ingredient and the same efficiency that we see in the brand name, but they just don't have the brand and they don't have those crazy commercials that we always see attached to them, which means the marketing dollars are into those big brand names, and that is why they charge so much for them. Generic versions really are a great substitute. Ask a doctor, ask a pharmacist, see if there's a generic version of what you're taking. And of course, when we think about the next one, which is unused subscriptions. Now, it is estimated streaming services, when you look at gym memberships, when you think of a month-to-month basis, Americans are paying around $212 a month for things that they are not using. They'll sign up for trials, then there'll be a monthly subscription cost. They forget to cancel it, ongoing charges, and we see this all the time working in a financial institution. Some subscriptions auto-renew annually, catching you off guard really with a big cost. I had an auto renew that just went through for my virus protection. It was $185 for the next year. And of course, wasn't anticipating that charge because it was 1 year ago when we signed up for it. But overall, review your subscriptions on a regular basis. Make sure you're not paying for things that you do not want to. Now, when we think of shopping and grocery shopping particularly, we know groceries have been incredibly expensive, but looking at the overpriced organic products in organic product can be beneficial, but most of them are not worth the premium price. Some organic items differ significantly in the health or the environment. And really going through this article, the organic label is sometimes used as a marketing tactic to justify the higher price they're charging for the item, even though it is the exact one. And the other thing to remember is a lot of organic items have a shorter shelf life, potentially leading to more food waste. Now we know as a nation, we have roughly 30% of our waste is food. It's kind of crazy to think of the price of food, the price to import food, the price of organic food. 30% of all food in the United States goes to waste, meaning that 30% of that food budget, you're just throwing right away with all of that food waste. Now, when we look at the next one, novelty kitchen gadgets. Now, this is something that not only novelty kitchen gadgets can create clutter, they create mess, but they're a waste of money. And most of them, they are a big waste of space. Basic kitchen tools are really all you need to know. To use novelty gadgets might be a few times or maybe once or twice, and then you can kind of forget it. It'll be in a drawer somewhere. You'll never see it again, except my number one, which is an apple slicer. My kids love apples. Apple slicer is an absolute one for these kitchen gadgets that I guess it would kind of fall into the regular basic kitchen tool. But if you have one of those, it is incredible to take out the core and of course, go ahead and put that together. So all right, guys, so that is going to do it for for our list, 19 things you think are investments but can actually be money pits. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. And as always, thank you guys for watching.